Hello, friends. Welcome back to Concierge Weight Loss. This is where I record my podcast at live on Facebook every week. As we are heading into August, I think this is the perfect time for a mid-year reset. Maybe you've stepped on the scale recently and noticed nothing. It hasn't moved in weeks and you're wondering why. Maybe the scale has even crept up a few pounds and you're feeling discouraged. Or maybe the scale isn't even the thing that's bothering you. Maybe you've noticed that somewhere along the way, you've stopped drinking as much water, you've quit planning your dinners, or your bedtime has slowly gotten later. That's what mine is. You aren't checking in with your hunger anymore. Or maybe you're listening to all of that and you're thinking, no, Kara, I'm actually doing all of those things. You're drinking your water, you're moving your body, you're trying to stop it enough, you're making better choices, and yet you're not seeing the changes that you're hoping for. If any of those things sound like you, this episode is for you. I don't think you need to start over. I think you just need a little reset. And those are two very different things. So, what does a reset really mean? The problem is that most of us hear the word reset and immediately think, I need to buckle down. I need to get serious. No more sugar. I'm cutting out carbs. Monday is the day. I'm starting over then. But that's not really a reset. That's usually another attempt to control ourselves with more rules. A real reset isn't about becoming stricter, it's about becoming more curious. So instead of asking, how do I get back on track? A reset asks, what's next? What's next? By asking, what have I learned so far? And what does this season of my life need from me right now? I love that question because it assumes something really important. It assumes that you haven't failed. It assumes that you've learned. It assumes that you've grown. And now it's simply time to look at where you are today and what's next. We all drift. Girl, we all drift. Here's something I want every one of you to hear. We all drift. I drift. My clients drift. You drift. Not because we're lazy, not because we don't care and that we don't want weight loss anymore, because life changes. Our schedules change. Our bodies change. Our responsibilities in life change. Our capacity, what's available for our capacity, it changes. So, what worked 6 months ago, it may need a little fine tuning today. That's normal. The problem isn't drifting, it isn't that you drifted. That's not the problem. The problem is believing that that drifting means that you failed. Because then we think the only answer is to just start over. Imagine if you're driving somewhere and you accidentally miss your exit. Would you pull over, drive all the way back home, and start the whole trip over? Of course not. You'd take the next exit, you'd turn around, and you'd keep going. That's all a reset is. It's not starting over. It's just making an adjustment. So, can I coach you for a minute, right? That's what I do. I coach people. So, if we were sitting together on a coaching call, I wouldn't start by asking, what did you do wrong? Tell me all the things. It's confession time. That's what I always joke with. I'd ask something completely different. What have you been noticing? Not what have you judged, not what have you criticized, just noticed. What has become maybe easier? What habit feels almost automatic now? Maybe I'd ask you, what are you doing today that would have felt impossible 6 months ago? Maybe you're finally getting enough water. Movement has become just part of your routine. And maybe it isn't even every day, but it is definitely in there that it's happening more routine than not. Maybe you don't finish everything on your plate anymore, or you're eating because you're physically hungry much more often than you used to. Those things all matter. Please don't skip over them. I think the biggest mistakes that we make is acting like those habits don't count anymore because they aren't giving us the same excitement, the same big results on the scale that they once did. But they do count. They're your foundation now. In fact, I hear clients say this all the time. I'm doing all the things? Girl, my answer is usually you absolutely are. You are doing all the things that have brought you to where you are today. Those habits deserve a ton of credit. They've changed your life. They've helped you lose weight. They've helped you feel better. They've helped you understand your body. You don't stop giving yourself credit for those things just because they've become normal. But if you're hoping to go somewhere new, eventually we'll probably need to become curious about making one small adjustment. Not because what you've been doing is wrong, not because it isn't enough, but simply because your life has changed, your body has changed, your needs have changed. Growth doesn't always require more effort. Sometimes it just requires a different effort. So we don't actually just lose motivation. One thing I hear all the time is, I've just lost my motivation. I don't think motivation disappears for no reason. Usually, something happened first. Maybe you've been exhausted, or you have noticed that you've gotten busier. You're in a busier time of your life. For me, it's caring for like aging parents and for young kids all at the same time, that sandwich generation, right? Maybe your kids are home for the summer, or maybe you're just overwhelmed. You've stopped planning. Maybe you're discouraged because that scale isn't moving. Motivation wasn't the problem, but it was a symptom. The symptom that something underneath it needs your attention. And that is why a reset is so valuable. Not because it magically gives you motivation again, because it helps you notice what actually needs some care, some attention. So, I want to talk to you about a different kind of certainty. One of the biggest differences between dieting and sustainable weight loss is where we place our certainty. Diets, we lean into those. They promise certainty. Eat this, don't eat that, follow these rules, do this perfectly, and you will be granted your weight loss. That's the certainty that we're wanting, right? It feels safe because someone else has already decided all of the answers for us. But life doesn't stay the same. Your body definitely changes. Your hormones change, your schedule changes, stress changes. Our capacity changes. That has become my favorite word of the year, capacity. So instead of placing our certainty in a specific plan, a specific diet plan, a strict set of rules or food choices or meal plans, I want us to place our certainty somewhere else, in ourselves. So real confidence is knowing that I can find the answer. It's not already knowing the answer, it's trusting that you'll figure it out. So instead of asking, what's the right or best thing to do, try asking, what is there to learn? What is there to learn? Then, what's the next thing I can try? Notice not the next perfect thing, not the biggest thing, just the next thing. So, what this looks like, maybe you've been grabbing takeout 3 nights a week. Instead of saying, I'm off track, you ask, what have I noticed? For me, I would notice that like I don't have the capacity, there's that word again, right? To make dinner at night. So I've been eating out, or and I've also noticed that like I haven't planned dinners for a month. My breakfast, my lunch, they're pretty much on track all the time. I hear that often too with my clients. Our breakfast and our lunch become so on habit that we don't really think about planning them anymore. But our dinners at the end of the night, we've lost the capacity to want to cook or to think about it. And then when we've stopped planning, so like I stopped planning and then I noticed like, oh, I'm not eating as often at home. I'm not choosing better, best options. I'm eating out more. I'm overeating more. So I haven't been planning dinner for like a month. So my reset isn't another diet. It's choosing maybe 3 dinners before I get my groceries ordered this week. Maybe the scale hasn't moved for you. So instead of deciding it must be my hormones, I hear this often, it must be because of something else. or I'm doing everything, I'm doing all the things. You just ask, what's left to learn? What else can I try? Maybe you've been eating because you're tired in the afternoon, needing some energy. I heard that one yesterday from a coaching client. Maybe you've stopped checking in with your hunger. Maybe you've been staying up late because you're trying to get a little more time for yourself. That was mine, right? Now you're not looking for someone to tell you exactly what to do. You're learning how to care for yourself, how to decide what your body's needing. And you do that by starting with understanding where it's even coming from, looking at what you are actually doing well, and then just kind of looking at, okay, what's next? So, your mid year reset this week, don't start over. Don't wait until Monday, and don't make 10 new rules. Instead, you're just going to take inventory. Ask yourself, what is already working? Give yourself credit. I want to have a dance party for what you are doing and what's working for you. I want to give you so much credit. We are cheering for you. I am cheering for you. Give yourself credit. Then you're going to ask, what am I noticing? Like, what have I noticed? What's going on, right? Just what's going on. Don't judge it. Don't criticize it. Just notice. Just notice it, okay? And then ask, what's next? Just what's next? Like, our journey's not over, right? So there's always a next. What's next? What does this season of my life need from me now? And then finally, what's that next thing I can try? One thing, one adjustment, one tweak, one pivot, one experiment. Just one little thing. Hear me keep saying little, right? It's not big and it's not overhauling. It's just one little thing that we can try, because that's what a reset really is. Not becoming a different person, not finding another better, more perfect plan. No, it's not proving that you are good enough or that you're doing enough. A reset is simply using everything you've learned so far to take care of yourself a little better today. You don't need another plan. You need the skills to adjust the one that you are already building. I want to say that again. You don't need another plan. You just need skills to adjust the one that you're already building. That's huge, because weight loss isn't about finding certainty. It's about becoming someone who can adapt with confidence. So every adjustment teaches you something. Every lesson builds trust. Every reset, it reminds you that you don't have to know all the answers. You just have to trust that you're willing to figure out the next one. So, thank you so much for spending part of this day with me. Next week, we're going to dive deeper into one of the biggest traps I see women fall into, the thought, I'm doing everything. So, we'll talk about why that thought feels so comforting, how it can quietly keep us stuck, and how to stay curious about slipping into shame or blame. Until then, remember, you don't have to start over. You just have to keep learning, keep adjusting, and keep figuring it out. So, before I jump off here, remember, I am here for you. If you would love to have a little more support as you're figuring this out, maybe not get yourself so off track with a reset. Just let's tweak together. Let's do this weight loss journey together. You absolutely just run and go get on a free coaching call with me. Go to www.coachingkara.com/free call, and let's figure this out together. All right. Until next week. See you then. Bye.